26 spots, and then if Deke McCaskill were not able to qualify as the only former champion in the show, he would get the champion's provisional. So 26, perhaps 27, that will be starting the Accent Imaging 125 tonight. You can see the drivers up on the pit wall. We're just moments away from getting them to strap into their cars for yet another round of qualifying for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. Don't turn the dial. We'll be right back on FloRacing. Back with you here in Raleigh, North Carolina at America's favorite bull ring for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, the second race of the 2025 season. Just about counted a few minutes away from getting these cars rolled off in single car qualifying. You can see how tight things are here in the pit area with Aaron Donnelly's number 71 Chevrolet lined up at the front of the field. He'll be the first driver that takes to the racetrack for single car qualifying here in just a couple of moments. But again, a lot of work being done logistically to make sure there's enough room to maneuver around. Again, everybody really packed in tight here with all the trailers, cars, everything that goes on, as well as the local racing that's here. It could be a tough challenge. And even in the past, Eric, this is a track that, at least traditionally for the Cars Tour, has only had about a 24-car cap on the field, but that's expanded tonight to 26, perhaps 27, depending on how all the provisionals and everything shake out. As you get a good look at Minnie Tyrell, who's getting his last-minute preparations, walking to his race car, getting ready for, and what a week he had at New River All-American Speedway just a couple of weeks ago. A lot of great stories throughout the field and drivers who are having to fight through it. There you can see Deke McCaskill and his family, a Raleigh, North Carolina native, even getting interviewed with the public address here in Charlie Hansen, who wears many hats here at Wake County Speedway.
Yeah, we got a couple of furry companions down there as well cheering Deke on down there trackside. And as you mentioned just before we went to break, Blake, I mean, Deke is one of the few people who could rest a little bit easy knowing he could fall back on that past champions provisional. Remember last year in this race, expectations were high for Deke. Now back in the family-owned car again for 2025 and had an issue mechanically going into turn 3 just before we hit the quarter distance mark in the race a year ago and pounded the wall hard in 3 and 4, hoping for a better result tonight. Let's check in with James Pike, who's standing by trackside.
Hello, Eric. Hello, Blake. I am down here in the pits at Wake County in America's favorite bull ring where the pollen has come. It is springtime in North Carolina for sure. You see that yellow film everywhere. You and Blake talked a lot about some of the characteristics of Wake County Speedway. I think another one to point out here, this place is physical because it is so tight. It also got a repave in 2023, so it's a fast race track as well. And I talked to a lot of these drivers, and the one thing that stood out amongst those conversations was just how so many of them believe that this is the kind of place where you have to be up on the wheel for 125 laps. This is not a tire-saving race like we saw at New River All-American Speedway a few weeks ago. This is basically 125 qualifying laps. Maybe the best description I got from one of the drivers. This place is absolute war. So expect a physical race, expect a white knuckle race, expect another fantastic race like only the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear can provide.
And I think the biggest thing with that, Eric, and actually you made a great point to me even earlier this week and kind of leading up to this race, that again, this is typically a race. We've gone through the dog days of summer. Everybody's kind of had the opportunity to race each other a number of times throughout the season, to have those rivalries brew. Haven't had that here in 2025, but yet this is the second race of the year. Those rivalries can last all year long from here on out.
Yeah, and I mean, even look at Connor Hall, our New River winner and current points leader coming into this race. His only prior start here in a late model stock car was back in 2021. Started and finished in 11th spot there. Check that. That was actually last year that he ran that race. The reason being, 2 years ago, he pivoted his focus to chasing the national title when he knew he couldn't win the Cars Tour Championship. And that is a similar trend that many drivers have had before. With this race now being on the front end of the schedule, that, as you said, it puts them all in a position to have to commit all into this racetrack. And we're going to be going into Cordele a couple of weeks away from now, and there may be some rivalries and some tension that develop from what this race forces you to have to do. Also, one thing that we've seen before, Blake, a lot of drivers had overheating problems here when we ran in the summer months. As the temperature starts to drop, that may not be the case for our competitors tonight. Everyone's hoping their motors get a little bit of a breather as we fire them up for the first time.
And we're anticipating some lightning speeds here. In fact, Ryan Millington earlier today was down in the 11-second bracket. That would be a first for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, but the first car to take to the track, Eric. You talk about pressure. This driver did not make the race at New River All-American Speedway, despite the speed he brought to the racetrack last year. And behind the wheel, the number 71 Donnelly Concrete and Victory Custom Trailer Chevrolet for Hettinger Racing out of Stafford, Virginia. We'll see what Aaron Donnelly is able to lay down in his first lap of qualifying. And again, if you were watching New River All-American Speedway a couple of weeks ago, there is a dead lap for them coming out of the pits as he'll complete his 2 laps. We'll wait for timing and scoring to officially update for us to give you his lap time. But again, top 24 in this race will be officially locked in on speed. So number 71 will bring his car down into the pit lane.
Once we have an official lap of record, the scoring monitor across from us shows a 12.409 as a lap in which Aaron Donnelly laid down. So we'll follow that for reference until timing and scoring populates for us here in the booth. Next driver on the racetrack, driving from Matt Piercy Racing. This is Aspire Motorsports, Gamebridge, and HendrickCars.com, number 7, for a driver whose first late model stock start came here in what was a standalone event back in 2023, but mechanical issues prevented him from making the green flag. Here is Tristan McKee out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, on his green flag lap, trying to see if he could improve on what was a 19th place starting effort at the season opener at New River. down to the line. Lap 1 is going to be a 12.311 for Tristan McKee. He will better Aaron Donnelly on the first go-around, trying to lower that bar even more so. As Blake McCandless pointed out on social media earlier tonight, we did see a driver get in the 11-second bracket. That was Ryan Millington, and Practice McKee with a 12.124 to make him fastest of the two cars that have been on the racetrack so far.
And McKee has been fast all weekend long, so you can imagine that's going to be close to the bar that I think is going to be set towards the top of the field. Again, it's Clay Jones, who at least for now holds claim to the fastest qualifying lap running Z-Max Cars Tour competition at a 12.023 as the third car to join us here this afternoon. And Eric, we kind of mentioned it at the top of the show, talk about all the many weekly competitive drivers that you have here at Wake County Speedway. Well, this one showed up last year and kind of played spoiler, winning the Thunder Road Crossroads Harley-Davidson Pole Award here at Wake County Speedway, and the C.R. Phillips Electrical, Glass Guys, and McKay Capital Partners Chevrolet out of Richmond, Virginia. He calls home. It is Mason Bailey, whose first trip out will actually be a pretty good one. 12.292 as our timing and scoring will at least populate, or is at least showing up for us. So Mason Bailey, 12.292. He'll improve to stay second fastest at a 12.224. So Mason Bailey not going to have a repeat effort, but nevertheless a solid lap. In fact, a tenth slower than the lap laid down by Tristan McKee.
So McKee continues to be the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole sitter for now, then Bailey and Donnelly. Your first three cars that have hit the racetrack. Here's the driver who wrapped up 2024 in the late model stock cars with back-to-back wins. Started 15th but finished 30th at New River All-American Speedway after an early crash. This is the Jones Utilities Construction Family Tire and Auto number 44 from Mike Darn Racing out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Connor Jones coming around to complete his first lap on the stopwatch. And lap number 1 for Jones is going to be second quickest. Needs about 0.05 of a second to leapfrog his way to the top of the charts. His only Cars Tour start here came back in 2021. And Jones is not going to improve on lap 2. We'll go a little bit slower that time around. Outside front row for the time being for car 44 in Connor Jones.
Next car up, again, if you were watching in 2024, this driver largely competed in the pro late models. He was able to get a win last year at Tri-County Speedway, but also qualified very well at New River All-American Speedway a couple of weeks ago. Starting on the front row there at that race, he'll look to repeat a similar effort for the man out of Huntington Beach, California, in the factory canopies, LPG Transport, and Pacific Coast Propane machine. It is Jake Bowman in car number 71, who will become the 5th driver to populate the scoring pylon here at Wake County Speedway tonight. A lot of experience here at this racetrack, but again, a great qualifying effort put him up front at New River All-American. Can he repeat that effort here this afternoon? And right now, he is just going to slot in front of the lap laid down by Aaron Donnelly, his fellow 71 competitor. 12.405, second lap, washing wide off of turn 4, is able to find a couple of hundredths of a second and will improve to a 12.386. But Eric, when we talk about owners' points and where we think that cutoff line may be, it's going to be close, but there's one driver who doesn't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, one driver who's certainly going to have to sweat it out, if you will, making his first start of the season. Second start for this team in the MKM Racing Development number 32 out of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, in the Two Boroughs Brewery. One wraps an MKM Racing Development number 32 car. Dylan Wilson making or attempting to make his third Wake County Cars Tour start. He has a moment on turn 2, coming around to complete his first timed effort. And Dylan Wilson, who was in the top 10 in the practice session held to kick off the day's on-track activity, now sitting 6 of the 6 cars that have been on the racetrack so far, and he's got his hands full on corner exit. Lap 2 for Wilson will move him up to 4th, so he gets a couple of cars of breathing room ahead of the 271s. Wilson 4th of the 6 cars that have been on the track so far.
And with what we've seen, that is going to be close, so Dylan Wilson going to have to sweat that out. He has to be in the top 24 to advance into this race. He does not have any owner's points in that number 32 car. to perhaps fall back on. Another driver who, as shocking as it is, will also have to try and qualify his way into the top 24. His owner's points position coming into this race, inheriting the 88s from last year, is only 38th, but can't imagine a scenario where Hampton, Virginia's Connor Hall, the number 88 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet, wouldn't advance into this race. First lap through for Connor Hall is going to be good for third position, 12.189. Connor Hall, who was a winner of many awards, including the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award at New River All-American Speedway, looking for the bonus points this time. Not quite able to get there. It's Connor Hall, so he'll stay third quickest, but can imagine that that's going to be a lap that will indeed put him into the show.
Just like the number 71, we've got a couple of 88s in the field as well. Same thing with car number 4, but it'll be the second number 88 car on the racetrack now. This Elite Polium Performance prepared entry for Air Doug out of Forest Hill, Maryland, now calls Wellington, Florida home. This is Doug Barnes making his first Cars Tour start at Wake County, but has a bunch of efforts here in weekly competition. Back in 2023, kicked off his tenure with this race team on the Cars Tour side in at New River, started 26th and raced his way up in the 7th spot at the Checkers. First lap for Doug Barnes, 6th of the first 8 cars to be on the racetrack so far. Currently looking about a 10.5 off of what is still the flyer laid down by current pole sitter Tristan McKee. A big pickup for Barnes to the front row. 12 thousandths of a second shy of Tristan McKee. Doug Barnes leapfrogs his way up into P2.
And again, times overall just about a tenth slower so than what we were seeing in final practice earlier today. To move into this later stretch of the day, let's welcome a driver. We talked about one that was sitting in front row. How about one that was sitting outside front row? The last time that we were here a couple of months ago, it was this driver in the finish line. Lawn Care, Dylan Spain Motorsports, and Linda Trevor Compass Realty Chevrolet out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Going to be a lot of 08 shirts that I've already seen walking around the grandstands today. It is Carson Hayslip in the 08 car, whose first effort through will put that 08H in the 6th position. Hayslip to the line, second time. That lap looked better, but it looks like it's still going to be, well, it is going to be an improvement, 12.199, so Hayslip up to 5th, and in fact may share a row for the time being with the car that he shared the front row with last year.
Funny how things like that happen.
Yep.
There may not be a driver more excited that this race got moved up in 2025. In fact, this was one of the races that this driver had to miss due to issues that arose at the throwback race at Hickory that forced him to sit out a handful of rounds. He's back at a racetrack he knows very well and typically gets around here quite fast. This is the ABC Hosiery and Apparel TG Motorsports Ford chassis number 1 for the driver out of Youngsville, North Carolina, Andrew Grady, with a bit of a moment off of turn 4, and that first lap is going to put him 8th. Started 9th in both prior attempts here, 2021 and 23. 9th place effort in 21 was his best finish at Wake County and was running well up in the top 5 when the car overheated in 2023. And he will clock in 7th fastest for now, is that of Andrew Grady in the 1 car.
It is tight already, especially there in the midfield. We'll see this driver work her way out onto the racetrack, driving for the same team that won the Cars Tour Championship 1 year ago. Led off her effort here in 2025 with a 10th place effort at New River All-American Speedway, making her first start here in the Cars Tour at Wake County. It is the Fulton Supply Machine out of Jackson, Georgia. It is Laney Bice in the 03. Quick relationship that has formed here between her and team owner Lee Polium. They've gotten along very well, and you can see the speed that 03 has. 5th fastest, 12.196. Perhaps it's a bit better, and indeed it will be, as Bice will move up to 4th just ahead of Connor Hall by 2 1/1000ths of a second. So Laney Bice early on showing well in the Lee Polium Performance Toyota.
Time to beat a 12.124, prior track record of 12.023 set by Clay Jones 2 years ago. Here's a driver who is off to a tremendous start in 2025. This is the family-owned and operated Best Summer Tire and Auto, Affordable Heating and Air, and Bunny Scoop 04 out of Lexington, North Carolina. Ronnie Bassett Jr., who did not run here in 2024, but did race here in 2023 and finished exactly where he did at New River, third. First time around for Ronnie Bassett Jr. is a 12.124. Time in the scoring stopwatch, that puts him seventh. Bassett's going to look for a considerable pickup here on lap 2 as he comes to the line. We'll wait for that time to flash across, and for Bassett, his second lap looked to be a 12.124, so they appear to be pretty close together. And now the system updates, and it'll move Bassett to fourth, so fourth position with a 12.176 for Ronnie Bassett Jr.
Time starting to pick up here at Wake County Speedway, and perhaps this could be another great example of it with the 47-year-old they call the governor in the Blackgate Hunting Products Ford for his family-owned race team out of Raleigh, North Carolina. The 08 of Deke McCaskill is out on the racetrack, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, the fact that he is the lone former champion in the field, he will be starting in this race regardless of where that 08 may qualify, as first lap through for Deke McCaskill is going to put that car in the 11th position, 12.310. Let's see if Deke can muscle that car around turn number 4 and pick up some time here on lap 2. It appears that that is not going to be the case. So Deke McCaskill right now, 12.310. And we'll see if that will result in a 26 or 27 car field when all is said and done.
Out onto the racetrack, a driver who just celebrated a birthday yesterday and came away from New River with a handful of contingency awards. He picked up the Crossroads Harley-Davidson Hard Charger Award, the Bill Seat Shocks Rookie of the Race Award, driving the famed Autos by Nelson, L&R Transmissions, Nelson Motorsports number 22, young gun out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Carson Lofton, who in his off time since we last saw him drive up to fourth at New River has run a couple of Tour Type modified races, now back in a late model stock car, and he times in 7th fastest on his first go-around. Lofton looking for about 7/100ths of a second to see if he can jump up to provisional pole, and the second lap will be a tick slower for Carson Lofton. 2/1000ths of a second, the difference between lap 1 and lap 2 for Carson Lofton, who sits 7th at the moment.
There's been a trio of cars that I've heard brought up time and time again down in the pit area earlier today about who they thought perhaps may have the fastest car in the field, and this was one of those cars that was a part of that trio. The number 4 Sterling Building Group, WG Speaks, Caswell Glass, and Sterling Building Group for RNS Race Cars. The driver out of Full Shear, Texas, it is Cade Brown, who is the pilot of that machine. Yet we'll welcome another car out here for single car qualifying. Doesn't matter whether it's race pace or the qualifying pace in this car. A lot of competitors in the field thinks that this is going to be one strong one as Cade Brown's first lap through. You see why up to 5th, 12.178. Just needs about 5/100ths to try and get up to the front row, and perhaps best what Tristan McKee laid down in the early part of the session. But it looks like Brown not able to improve on the second effort, but nevertheless top 5 for now, the driver out of Texas.
And I love that view of watching these cars come off of turn 4, where you can see, especially those with white gloves, like this racer out of the Speedway, who is also a hometown hero. They're working hard to hustle around this quarter-mile oval. This driver finished 3rd in track points here in 2024. He's driving the Carolina Hydro Seed, Birdshot Branding, and Fences Unlimited, number 15H for longtime Cars Tour competing team, Logan Clark Racing. The driver out of Holly Springs, North Carolina. A warm welcome to Holden Haddock, who will see what he's got his first time around. And Haddock's first lap will be 12th quickest. So kind of down in that area where he may not be able to breathe too easily, but he may have beaten enough cars to perhaps shrug off the chance of watching this race from the sidelines. Second lap through for Holden Haddock will be a tick slower, so he is 12th of the 16 cars that have been on the racetrack so far. McKee still the quickest. Next
car up, got to talk to this young man earlier today. He's feeling pretty confident about this racetrack, a track that he has been to before and running the Legends car. It was pretty much the same deal at New River All-American Speedway just a couple of weeks ago. Behind the wheel, the number 4 Southern Bank and Southern Ready Mixed Chevrolet for Mike Darn Racing out of Wilson, North Carolina, the reigning champion of the Thanksgiving Classic at Southern National Motorsports Park. It is Parker Eatman. And Eatman's first time through, one of many number 4s that you'll see populate your scoring pylon here this afternoon, is 14th fastest down there, 12.280 for Parker Eatman. Can he go better on the second time through? And yes, he's going to do so by quite a bit, up to 6th, 12.186. And again, 1/1000th better than the car behind him, and 3 1/1000ths better than the car that's 2 back. I mean, that's the Cars Tour right there.
Doesn't get much tighter than that. The driver is going to try to wedge his way up towards the top of the charts, if at all possible. Defending winner of this race led 12 laps en route to victory after rolling off outside row 4 when they came to the green flag. Was in a spirited fight with his then teammate Brent Cruz and Isabella Robusto as they all tussled for the lead. And this driver out of Supply, North Carolina, came out on top for the first time in his career. The Red Source MMI number 29 for Kevin Harvick Incorporated comes through to complete lap number 1, and Lewis is outside of the top 10, 13th on his first 4 rounds. He was 1 spot shy of kicking off 2025 with a top 10 effort at New River, and the second time around for Lewis, a big pickup to 3rd. Great run for Landon Lewis, picks up 10 spots between lap 1 and lap 2.
Right now sitting just in road number 2, but it is still Tristan McKee right now who holds claim provisionally to the Thunder Road Harley Davidson Pole Award. This is a driver we saw many a times in 2024 on a part-time basis, but nevertheless was strong. It was quite surprising to see this driver not be able to make the starting field at New River All-American Speedway, but looking to put that behind him tonight in the Medic Corp Toyota. For his family-owned race team out of Kings Williams, Virginia, it is Chase Burrow behind the wheel of the 00. First time through for Chase Burrow, and that is going to be a lap where he's going to need to do a little bit of picking up here on lap number 2. If he wants to be a part of the field, he's going to be in that danger zone at a 12.299. Second time through for Chase Burrow. Is it an improvement? It is on the stopwatch, but unfortunately stays in the 16th position, so 12.265. That is going to be cutting it close.
Not that far away from having to start bumping cars out of the top 24. Our 20th competitor to come to the racetrack has so much success at this venue. Multi-time track champion, defending track champion in 2024, and has several wins to his credit in a career that dates back to the 2000s at this racetrack. 1 pole in his Cars Tour late model stock debut here in 2023. And the Constantino Burkett Attorneys at Law, Hartman's famous salad dressing 1J, Clay Jones for the Markham Enterprises team. His first lap, 17th. Jones with a little bit of a bobble and weave off of turn number 2, and a big slide there in turn 4 as he continues to wrestle the car back to the line, and he will not improve. Clay Jones down in the danger zone right now, 17th on the pylon.
It is getting tough for many of these competitors, and we talked about 2 drivers that have 0 owner's points to fall back on, one being the 32 of Dylan Wilson. The next one is this driver on the racetrack right now in an entirely different race car than what he was at yesterday. He had a hung throttle as he was going into turn number 1 in practice. His team had to thrash away, go all the way back to Mooresville, North Carolina, re-decal the car, set it up, do everything to try and get this driver and this car back on the racetrack. Number 4 Liberty in a Can Chevrolet for Hedinger Racing out of Mooresville. It is Donovan Strauss. What an effort it would be if he could qualify for this race. He's going to have to stay in the top 24, but right now he's going to have to find some time with a 12.318. Second time through for Strauss. Can he find some speed? He does. He'll go up to 16th place. And man, that is going to be a couple of drivers, Wilson and Strauss, both who need to be, they have to be in the top 24 to make it, are going to be really close to that cut line.
And if Strauss's teammate Aaron Donnelly, also under the Hedger Racing banner, missed the show at Southern National, the hope is he may be high enough in owners' points this time around if need be. Boy, it's starting to get tense down in the pit area as we welcome our 22nd driver onto the racetrack. Driving the Timber Waters, number 11 for Van Dyke Racing Performance out of Littleton, North Carolina. Attempting to make his third Cars Tour late model stock start at Wake County. This is Buddy Isles Jr. coming around to complete his first timed lap. And for Buddy Isles Jr., it will be 19th. And as we get a little bit later in this session, and the sun starts to peek back out behind the clouds over this quarter-mile racetrack, not seeing a lot of the strength of pace that we saw in the early portion of the qualifying session, as Buddy Isles Jr. slows down on lap number 2. So 19, still kind of in that danger zone, hoping he's got enough owner's points should he need them.
You were talking about owner's points for Aaron Donnelly. He was 19th in owner's points last year, but again, that was not good enough to make the race at New River All-American Speedway. It was this car, and as a matter of fact, that was the last driver qualifying in through a provisional in the number 16 Aaron Sales and Lease Ford from McCumbee Elliott Racing out of Supply, North Carolina. It is Chad McCumbee, who did run at New River All-American Speedway a couple of weeks ago. Showed great in the early portion of 2024. First lap through for Chad McCumbee. He's not going to have to worry about a provisional any longer. He's got 12th fastest, 12.201 for the number 16 car. Second time through, it's an improvement and a big one at that. Chad McCumbee up to third, 12.146. A great lap for the Aaron Sales and Lease machine. And Chad McCumbee has thrust himself up into the top 5 late in the going.
That could be a good sign for this driver, who does have a front row start here back in 2023. In fact, he's run every Cars Tour sanctioned late model stock race at Wake County, having never finished worse than 13th. His best effort was 7th in 2021. Bad luck in the season opener at New River, looking to turn it around here in the Crossroads Harley-Davidson. IBCI and Josh Sellers, number 2 for Carroll Speed Shop from Oak Ridge, North Carolina. Cars Tour veteran Brandon Pierce on his first flying lap. 12.124, the time to beat set by Tristan McKee. And the first go around for Pierce is not going to be what they were hoping for. That is a 24th place effort for the 24th car to come out on the racetrack, hoping to leapfrog himself up off the bubble. And he'll do that. A 5-position gain for Brandon Pierce up to 19th. That puts Aaron Donnelly on the bubble as we have 24 cars that have laid down lap times. Let the bumping begin.
And this one is going to be a driver, too, who missed out at the race at New River All-American Speedway. Came down, was one of many teams that about a week and a half or so ago on Wednesday came down here, tested this car because, again, so many teams knew that this was going to be a large field. They knew they had to come down here and find some speed, and that's exactly what the Knight Company's True by Hilton Pinnacle Racing Group Chevrolet trying to do for the driver out of Connolly Springs, North Carolina. It is Landon S. Huffman who will come across this time. First lap through for the number 28 is going to go to 12th fastest for Landon S. Huffman. So that is a lap that will definitely put that number 28 in the show. A big bobble in turn 4 as Huffman has to hang on to the race car. It's still going to be in front of Hayslip by 1,000th of a second, but Landon S. Huffman will not have to worry about making the show.
Here's a driver who's had a lot of pep in his step for good reason. Spoke to our good buddy Rob Lound, who's watching from home this weekend, about how confident he is in this race team and this race car. Brand new Reynolds chassis for the IBCI Sugar Lands Distilling Company and Josh Sellers, number 57. This is a Carroll Speed Shop prepared entry out of Claremont, North Carolina, Landon Huffman. 2 prior Cars Tour late model stock starts here, 2023 and 2024, with his worst start and finish being 13th and 9th. He's always been good here, and he's great on that first lap. Third for Landon Huffman the first time around. A little bit of a bobble off turn 2, needs 12 thousandths of a second to tie McKee for the pole. And he will pick it up. No, he will slow down just a little bit on that second lap, and he will tie Doug Barnes for the second fastest lap time in the session.
So we essentially have a tie for the second place right now between Huffman and Barnes. We'll see if that goes down to owner's points or even further down to the 10,000th of a second if that's what's being measured. But still, just cars left to qualify, including what may be the fastest car left on the property. But right now, Daniel Van Cannon and the RLT Construction Chevrolet out of Fuquay Varina trying to be one of the many competitors here at Wake County Speedway to bring it to the Cars Tour. A winner here in weekly competition at this racetrack prior. Let's see what the first lap is for Daniel Van Cannon right now. It is 27th fastest, 12.415 for Van Cannon. Is there a pickup on lap number 2? There is an improvement. He'll notch up a couple of spots to 23rd, 12.284. And for Daniel Van Cannon, that is 23rd fastest, so he needs to beat both of the cars who are coming out now to be in the show.
And bad news for the rest of the field. That bump Deke McCaskill from the top 24, that past champions provisional is gone. Everyone is vying for that one last spot that will be determined by last year's owner's points. Check that, 2 more spots. All right, next on the racetrack is number 81 out of Manassas, Virginia for Timmy Tyrell Racing. This is the Convenience Tire and Auto Detail Insurance and Victoria's Swimwear car. Minnie Tyrell making his 4th Cars Tour start at Wake, and that's a really good first lap for Tyrell, 7th on his first time around. His best start was 2nd here back in 2021, trying to better that potentially with a pole, and he'll do it to the top of the charts for Tyrell. 2nd to last car to go, and Minnie Tyrell with a 12.102 jumps to the provisional pole.
I had a feeling Minnie Tyrell was the fastest car in opening practice earlier today. This was the car that was fastest in the second practice and final practice. Let's see if the Leisure Time Reynolds Chevrolet can try and unseat what now may be a front-row Harley-Davidson pole award for Minnie Tyrell. Across the stripe this time, it is Ryan Millington. Minnie Tyrell looking to hang on for what would just be his 3rd pole in his ZMAX Cars Tour career. As Millington will come around, what's going to be his lap the first time around? Ryan Millington, car number 15, is going to clock in 26th fastest, 12.298 for Ryan Millington. Is lap 2 going to be a big pickup for Millington? Up to 7th. So it's not going to be good enough, and Minnie Tyrell and the Timmy Tyrell Racing team will be able to celebrate a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole award. The next to last car to go out is the fastest here in Raleigh.
Tyrell did not have the result that he wanted at New River All-American Speedway after having a career year in 2024, finishing 3rd in points, and he is trying to right the ship in a big way. Tyrell celebrating with his crew, was oh so close to victory lane several times last season. Could tonight be the night at America's favorite bull ring as he gets a big hug from Dad, celebrating the family-owned race team's accomplishment in the 2nd race of the season. Minnie Tyrell will lead us down for green tonight.
He's letting us know about it, too. Awesome to see right there. And again, it's just weird how racing works sometimes. Last time out, 2nd car out's the pole sitter. This time it's the next to last car that takes to the racetrack that wins the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole award. Is the 3rd of his ZMAX Cars Tour career for that of Minnie Tyrell, who has been with us for a long time, nearly reaching 75 career starts in the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. 1 win, and he'll be trying to chase his 2nd career win tonight, his 1st since Tri-County in 2021. But regardless, what an effort from Minnie Tyrell and the Convenience Tire and Auto Machine.
He'll be joined on the front row by Tristan McKee, who is vying for his first late model stock Cars Tour sanctioned pole award. But McKee's going to grab a couple of bonus points, make that 1 bonus point by virtue of that 2nd place starting effort. Tyrell getting up there and disrupting that front row. That'll stop Landon Huffman and Doug Barnes playing tug of war to see who would get that nod on the tiebreaker for those championship points. Huffman and Barnes row 2. Chad McCumbee, what a reversal of fortunes from the season opener at New River. River from having to use the provisional to timing into the top 5. Last year's winner, Landon Lewis. Ryan Millington, the last car to go 7th. Connor Jones, 8th. 9th was Ronnie Bassett Jr. Cade Brown rounds out your top 10.
Parker Eatman will go 11th, Laney Bice 12th, Connor Hall 13th, Carson Lofton will roll off 14th, followed by Landon S. Huffman in 15th. Carson Hayslip, Mason Bailey, Andrew Grady, Holden Haddock, and Dylan Wilson will round out your top 20. Want to get to these next couple of cars quickly because Donovan Strauss, Chase Burrow, Brandon Pierce, and Clay Jones, the 24th car in qualifying, they are locked into the field based off of their times. We're going to have to wait for the provisionals and everything to be shaken out between Daniel Van Cannon, Buddy Isles Jr., Deke McCaskill, Jake Bowman, and Aaron Donnelly to see who will make the rest of the starting field.
One driver knows he's not only in the field, he's going to lead the field down for the green. Minnie Tyrell is with Pike.
Minnie Tyrell wins his first Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award for 2025. And Minnie, at New River, you had a stack up in front of you, got caught up in it, didn't really get a chance to see the kind of pace that you had. How much of a relief is it knowing that tonight you won't have anyone starting in front of you and you won't have to worry about that problem?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a relief. It means a lot to my team, and you know, just struggling real hard this year to get to the racetrack. So it hopefully we can make a couple this year. I don't know if we'll be able to do it, but I'm just so proud of my guys, man. Special thank you to Bradley McCaskill this week. He does all my decals. He was able to get a part for our auto shop and send it to us that the dealer wouldn't send to us, so we get a job out the door and get here this weekend. But just so proud of my team, Convenience Tire and Auto, all the boys back home. BDL Motorsports, the Henderson family, Victoria Swimwear for the hottest the swimwear clothing line in North Carolina. So just super proud of everybody, man. This one means a lot, so hopefully we can just take the green flag and stay there.
You go back and you look at the last half of 2024, it was top 5s and top 10s consistently for Minnie Tyrell. This is more of what this team did going into this season. Have to believe they have to be very confident. Minnie Tyrell has the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award at Wake County. He'll start up front when we go green later.
And Eric, I know you mentioned earlier that stat that there hasn't been a winner that started in the top 5 of a Cars Tour race here at Wake County. But you talk to any of these drivers, there's no doubt about it. They love having this track position. And again, Minnie Tyrell, how many times did we talk about last year how close that team was to finally breaking through? Nearly did at Tri-County, had a great run going at New River All-American Speedway before some misfortune. And there you see, again, a great example. Those 2 cars right there, the Z-Max Cars Tour, 2 family-owned race teams that bring some great speed every week. And this time, it was Minnie Tyrell that came out on top.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 cars right there, as you said, that really represent the backbone and fabric of what you can do with a family-owned operation in this tour, and they will be putting it to the test come race time. As the fans continue to work their way into their seats, Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award qualifying may be in the books. Local qualifying will be coming up next. You're watching continued coverage of the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, the Accent Image 125 from Wake County.